Something feels off, and most people miss it completely. You wake up tired, your energy drops in the middle of the day, and no matter how careful you are with your diet, that stubborn belly fat just stays. It looks like a metabolism problem, it feels like a willpower problem. But in many cases, it's neither. It's your liver, not damaged in a dramatic way, not causing pain or obvious symptoms, just slowly filling up with fat, quietly interfering with how your body burns energy. This is what makes it dangerous, because you don't feel it happening. You don't see it directly, but it keeps building in the background, affecting everything from your weight to your focus to your long-term health. You could be doing everything right, eating better, trying to move more, cutting calories, and still have a fatty liver working against you every single day. Here's the part most people never hear. Fatty liver is no longer rare. It's becoming one of the most common metabolic problems in the world, even in people who don't drink alcohol at all. And once fat starts building up inside the liver, it changes how your body handles sugar, how it stores fat, and how efficiently it produces energy. That's why people feel stuck. They try harder, but their body doesn't respond the way it should. It's not just about what you eat, it's about how your body processes it. And when the liver is overloaded, everything slows down. Fat burning becomes inefficient, energy crashes become more frequent, cravings get stronger, and the cycle keeps repeating without a clear reason. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Scientists started looking deeper into this problem, not just at diet or exercise, but at specific nutrients that directly affect liver function. And what they found surprised a lot of people. Certain compounds didn't just support the liver in a general way. They targeted the exact mechanisms that cause fat to build up in the first place. Some helped move fat out of the liver, others reduced inflammation. Some improved how the body handles sugar, which directly impacts fat storage. And when these effects were combined, the results became hard to ignore. In controlled settings, liver fat was reduced by significant amounts in a very short time. Not months, not years. In some cases, just a couple of weeks made a measurable difference. That doesn't mean there's a magic pill, and it definitely doesn't mean lifestyle stops mattering, but it does reveal something most people overlook. The body doesn't just need less food or more exercise, it needs the right signals. When those signals are missing, things stop working properly. When they are restored, the body starts correcting itself in ways that feel almost unexpected. That's why some people suddenly see changes while others stay stuck, even when they seem to be putting in the same effort. The difference often comes down to what's happening inside the liver, not just what's happening on the surface. In this video, you're going to learn about 6 specific supplements that have been studied for their effects on liver fat. Not random products, not trends. These are compounds that play a direct role in how your liver processes fat and energy. You'll understand what each one does, why it works, and how it connects to the bigger picture of metabolism. Some of these might already be familiar, but their real impact is often misunderstood. Others are less talked about, even though the science behind them is surprisingly strong. And when you see how they fit together, it starts to make sense why addressing liver fat can change more than just one number on a scale. There's also something important that most videos skip. Not everything that sounds healthy actually helps the liver. In fact, some common habits that people believe are beneficial can quietly make the problem worse over time. That's why just following general advice doesn't always lead to real results. You need to understand what actually targets the root of the issue, not just what sounds good on the surface. And once you see that clearly, your approach becomes simpler, not more complicated. Stay with this until the end, because the final part ties everything together in a way that most people never consider. It's where all these pieces connect, and it explains why fixing liver fat can unlock changes in energy, weight, and overall health much faster than expected. Missing that part means missing the full picture, and without the full picture, it's easy to fall back into the same cycle again. So if things haven't been working the way they should, this might be the missing link. Not another extreme plan, not another restriction, just a clearer understanding of what your body actually needs to function properly. And once you understand that, the next steps become much easier to follow. Welcome to the channel where we break down complex health topics into simple, practical truths. If you want more videos like this that focus on what actually works, make sure to subscribe and stay connected. What makes this problem difficult to notice is how normal it feels. There is no sharp pain, no clear warning sign that forces attention. Life continues as usual, but something in the background keeps slowing things down. Fatty liver has quietly become very common, even in people who never touch alcohol. It is not limited to one age group or one lifestyle. It shows up in office workers who sit for long hours, in people who rely on quick meals, and even in those who believe they are eating relatively healthy. The liver is designed to process nutrients, filter toxins, and regulate energy. But when excess fat begins to build up inside it, that system starts to lose efficiency. The body does not stop working, but it stops working the way it should. This is where small daily symptoms begin to appear, often ignored because they seem harmless on their own. One of the first signs people notice is a drop in energy after meals. Food is supposed to fuel the body, yet instead of feeling active, there is a heavy, sluggish sensation. It becomes harder to focus, and even simple tasks feel tiring. This happens because the liver plays a central role in managing blood sugar and energy release. When fat interferes with this process, energy does not flow smoothly. Instead, it rises quickly and then crashes, leaving the body feeling drained. Over time, this pattern becomes normal, and many people start to believe that feeling tired after eating is just part of daily life. At the same time, fat burning begins to slow down. The liver is deeply involved in how the body breaks down and uses stored fat. When it becomes overloaded, it cannot perform this function properly. Instead of burning fat for energy, the body starts storing more of it. This is why stubborn belly fat becomes so difficult to lose. Even with effort, the results are slower than expected. It is not always about eating too much or moving too little. It is often about the body not responding correctly to those efforts. The signals that control fat burning are weakened, and the body shifts into a mode that favors storage rather than use. This creates a frustrating cycle. As fat burning slows, more fat accumulates, especially around the abdomen. This type of fat is not just cosmetic, it is closely linked to metabolic health and often reflects what is happening inside the liver. The more the liver struggles, the more the body tends to hold on to fat. This is why people often notice that their belly fat remains even when other areas of the body change. It becomes one of the most resistant forms of fat, not because it is impossible to lose, but because the underlying system is not functioning properly. Another common experience is an increase in sugar cravings. When the liver cannot regulate blood sugar efficiently, the body looks for quick sources of energy. This leads to a stronger desire for sweet or processed foods. It is not simply a matter of discipline. The body is trying to compensate for an imbalance. Each time sugar is consumed, it provides a temporary boost, but it also adds more pressure on the liver. Over time, this reinforces the cycle, making cravings more frequent and harder to control. People often feel like they are stuck between trying to avoid sugar and constantly wanting it, without understanding why. All of these signs are connected, even if they appear unrelated at first. Low energy, slow fat loss, stubborn belly fat, and constant cravings all point to the same underlying issue. The liver is not working at full capacity. It is not broken, but it is overloaded. And because the symptoms develop gradually, they are often accepted as normal. This is what makes fatty liver a hidden problem. It does not demand attention, yet it affects multiple aspects of health at the same time. As awareness of this issue has grown, researchers have started to explore ways to support the liver more directly. Instead of focusing only on general advice, they began looking at specific nutrients that influence how the liver processes fat. These are not random choices. Each one has a defined role in the body, and each one interacts with the liver in a measurable way. Scientists have studied how certain compounds can help move fat out of the liver, reduce inflammation, and improve the way the body handles energy. The goal is not to replace healthy habits, but to enhance the body's natural ability to restore balance. What makes this approach different is its precision. Rather than relying on broad recommendations, it focuses on targeted support. Some nutrients assist in transporting fat so it does not accumulate in the liver. Others act as antioxidants, protecting liver cells from damage. There are also compounds that influence insulin sensitivity, which plays a major role in how fat is stored and used. By addressing these mechanisms directly, the body is given the tools it needs to function more efficiently. The results of these studies have shown that when the right nutrients are used consistently, changes can occur faster than expected. This does not mean instant transformation, but it does highlight how responsive the body can be when the underlying issue is addressed. The liver has a strong ability to recover when given proper support. It does not require extreme measures, but it does require the right conditions. When those conditions are met, improvements in energy, metabolism, and fat distribution often follow. It is important to keep the perspective balanced. Supplements are not a shortcut that replaces everything else. They are part of a larger picture. Diet, movement, and lifestyle still play a role, but they become more effective when the liver is functioning properly. This is why some people notice progress only after addressing this hidden factor. Once the liver starts working more efficiently, the same efforts begin to produce better results. This is where a more focused approach becomes useful. Instead of trying many different things without clear direction, it helps to understand which nutrients have been studied and how they work. Each one serves a purpose, and each one contributes to improving the overall system. By learning about these options, it becomes easier to make informed decisions rather than relying on guesswork. So the next step is to look at the specific supplements that have shown the most promise in supporting liver health and reducing fat buildup. These are not selected based on popularity, but on how they interact with the body and the evidence behind them. Each one addresses a different part of the process, and together they form a more complete strategy. Let's go through the six that actually make a difference and understand how each one works inside the body to support the liver and improve the way it handles fat and energy. Now the focus shifts to what actually helps the liver change direction, not in theory, but in real function. The first one is choline. It does not sound exciting, and many people have never paid attention to it, but inside the body, it plays a very direct role. Choline is a nutrient that helps the liver package fat and move it out instead of letting it sit and build up. When the liver has enough choline, it can take stored fat and send it where it can be used for energy. When choline is low, that process slows down, and fat begins to stay trapped inside the liver. Over time, that trapped fat builds pressure on the system and reduces efficiency. This is why choline is often linked to fatty liver in a very direct way. It is not just supporting the liver in a general sense, it is helping solve one of the main reasons fat accumulates there in the first place. As this process improves, the liver starts clearing out excess fat, and that changes how the body handles energy. A small shift in this pathway can make a noticeable difference in how the body stores and uses fat. A bonus effect that often comes with proper choline intake is better brain function, because choline is also used to produce important neurotransmitters that affect focus and memory, so the benefits are not limited to the liver alone. Then comes omega-3, often taken in the form of fish oil. This one is more familiar, but its role is often simplified. Inside the liver, inflammation is one of the biggest barriers to proper function. When inflammation is high, the liver becomes less efficient at processing fat and regulating metabolism. Omega-3 helps reduce this inflammation in a steady and consistent way. It does not force a sudden change, but it creates an environment where the liver can start working more smoothly again. At the same time, omega-3 supports the body's ability to burn stored fat. It influences how fat cells release energy and how that energy is used. When combined with improved liver function, this can lead to a gradual reduction in fat buildup. The effect is not about quick spikes, it is about steady improvement in how the system operates. Another benefit that often comes with omega 3 is improved heart health because it also supports healthy blood flow and reduces certain risk factors, making it one of the more widely studied nutrients for overall metabolic support. The third one is milk thistle, a plant extract that has been used for a long time but is still relevant today because of how it interacts with liver cells. The active compound in milk thistle helps protect liver cells from damage and supports the repair process. The liver is constantly exposed to stress from food, toxins, and metabolic activity, so having a compound that helps maintain cell integrity can make a difference over time. Milk thistle also supports the natural detox processes of the liver. This does not mean extreme cleansing or dramatic effects, but rather a steady improvement in how the liver filters and processes substances. As the liver becomes more efficient, it is better able to manage fat and maintain balance. This creates a supportive environment for reducing fat buildup. A secondary benefit that some people notice is improved digestion because the liver plays a role in producing bile, which helps break down fats during digestion. Next is berberine, which stands out because of how strongly it affects insulin sensitivity. Insulin is one of the key hormones that controls how the body stores and uses fat. When insulin sensitivity is low, the body tends to store more fat and burn less of it. This directly impacts the liver because excess fat often ends up there. Berberine helps improve how the body responds to insulin, allowing cells to use glucose more effectively instead of storing it as fat. This shift reduces the pressure on the liver and helps prevent further fat accumulation. At the same time, it supports better blood sugar control, which stabilizes energy levels and reduces cravings. This is important because frequent spikes and crashes in blood sugar can make it harder to maintain a balanced diet. By smoothing out these fluctuations, berberine helps create a more stable internal environment. A bonus effect is that many people notice more consistent energy throughout the day without the sharp drops that often follow meals. Vitamin E comes next, and its role is centered around protection. Inside the liver, oxidative stress can damage cells and make it harder for the liver to function properly. Vitamin E acts as an antioxidant, helping to neutralize this stress and protect liver cells from further damage. When the liver is protected, it can focus more on its core functions, including processing fat and regulating metabolism. This support becomes especially important when there is already some level of fat buildup because the liver is under more strain. By reducing damage and supporting recovery, vitamin E helps create the conditions needed for improvement. It is not about forcing the liver to work harder, but about removing some of the obstacles that prevent it from working efficiently. Another benefit that often comes with adequate vitamin E is improved skin health, because antioxidants also support the body's ability to manage oxidative stress in other tissues. The sixth supplement is N-acetylcysteine, often referred to as NAC. This one works by increasing levels of glutathione, which is one of the most important compounds the body uses for detoxification and protection. Glutathione is produced naturally, but its levels can drop when the body is under stress or dealing with excess toxins. NAC provides the building blocks needed to restore glutathione levels, which in turn supports the liver's ability to clean and repair itself. This process is important because a well-functioning detox system helps prevent further buildup of harmful substances that can interfere with liver health. As the liver becomes more efficient at clearing these substances, it can redirect more of its energy toward managing fat and maintaining balance. NAC also supports cellular repair, which helps the liver recover from existing damage. A bonus effect that some people experience is improved respiratory health, because glutathione also plays a role in protecting lung tissue. As these six come together, a pattern starts to appear. Each one addresses a different part of the same system, One helps move fat out, another reduces inflammation, another protects cells, another improves hormone response, another reduces damage, and another supports detox and repair. None of them act in isolation. They work on different layers of the same problem, which is why the combined effect can be more noticeable than focusing on just one. This is where the approach becomes more complete, not because it is complicated, but because it covers the key areas that influence liver function. Notice something important in this structure. These are not designed to simply burn fat in the way many products claim. They are focused on fixing the underlying processes that control how fat is handled. When those processes improve, fat reduction becomes a natural outcome rather than a forced one. This is a different way of looking at the problem, and it explains why addressing the liver can have a broader impact on the body. At the same time, it is important to stay grounded. Supplements can support the system, but they are not a replacement for basic habits. The liver responds to what it receives every day. If the input remains unbalanced, progress becomes slower and less consistent. Diet still plays a major role, especially when it comes to sugar and heavily processed foods. These create additional stress on the liver and can counteract the benefits of any supplement. When sugar intake is high, the liver is forced to convert excess glucose into fat, which adds to the problem rather than solving it. So the goal is not to rely on one solution while ignoring everything else. It is to create a combination where each part supports the other. Supplements provide targeted help, while diet and lifestyle reduce the load on the system. When these elements work together, the liver has a better chance to recover and function the way it is meant to. At the end of the day, this changes how you look at the whole problem. It's not about taking more, it's about fixing what's blocking your body. When the system is overloaded, nothing seems to work the way it should. Effort feels wasted, progress feels slow, and motivation starts to drop. But once that blockage is removed, things begin to shift in a way that feels natural. Energy becomes more stable, cravings lose their grip, and fat loss no longer feels like a constant struggle. This is where everything connects. When your liver works right, your body stops holding fat and starts using it. That's the difference most people are missing. It's not about forcing results, it's about restoring function. And when function improves, results follow without the same level of resistance. Now it's your move. If this helped you see things differently, don't just move on. Take a second to like the video so more people can find this information. Subscribe to the channel for simple, clear health truths that actually make sense. And share this with someone who's stuck with belly fat or low energy and can't figure out why. Sometimes one small piece of knowledge is all it takes to change everything.